Welcome to Immigrant Bazaar, a weekly podcast for immigrants by immigrants. As usual, your hosts are myself, Bahram, and
Anwar
and Shaukat.
Okay, welcome, guys. Good to see you all. So today is another episode of our Afterthought series. So today we're going to talk about on the episode on corporate job interview. So that episode was with Mr. Ibrahim. He's the one who had more than 30, I believe. It was more than 30 interviews, right?
Yeah, close to 30. Yeah.
Close to 30 interviews that he had throughout his experience. He had a very interesting academic experience. Plus, when he came to US, had a couple different experiences working in different companies. So personally, I'm just going to share a couple of my thoughts about the interview, our episode, actually interview, right? About interview on interview. So we're going to talk about what I learned from that was a few things I thought it was interesting. So one thing was, it's good always to have a good academic background, meaning you go to good universities, get the good grades, study well, and whatever your field is. It doesn't mean it has to be engineering or math or science or economics, whatever you do. But the important part, try to get the good grades, try to be well. However, when it comes to interviews, once you get screened to actual interviews, when it's important to have your own sales pitching experience, right? What that means by sales pitches means your skills, your background, right? Your background of your professional background in terms of getting your lined up your the requirements of the job versus what you have learned, plus your academic background, what you know about the field, about this particular job. So those things were, I believe, important in terms of what Ibrahim was sharing in his thoughts.
Yeah.
So I personally like that. And what about you guys? What do you guys think about?
So I want to chime in. Because whatever he talked about is so relevant to me personally. He's a chemical engineer. He was my college mate, so I know all about his background. It's very similar to mine, and I know his presentation skills, and I think that's what you're trying to allude to as well. I think, the way you present things, you have to be very good at it here in the US. I think, and that's something that I didn't really. Well, I picked up a little bit outside of the US when me and Ibrahim, we studied in Turkey. We learned that a little bit, but it wasn't as good as it is here. I think a lot of immigrants, including myself, we might be suffering from that perspective. We might have necessary skills, education, some track record of successful projects and things like that, but we may not be very good about presenting it. And Ibrahim was the best in our class, I think, about presenting himself the right way. So I think he was a good kind of expert in that because, he had so many interviews and they were very successful. So he got a lot of offers. So that's one of the things that, I think he tried to convey was, you got to present yourself very well. He cares about that a lot. He always cared about that. So that's one of the, key things, I think, from that episode.
What about you? What did you think?
And then from my own just experience, I also kind of I had my master's here maybe in 2008, right, and left US. But when coming back to US, right, I was also kind of looking for a job, and but this time I had some work experience, and I even applied actually when I was back in Turkey. Maybe it's still 2 months to come to US, but I already put my resume out there in LinkedIn. As you know, I'm in LinkedIn. Like 80% of the employers, right, use LinkedIn to find talent. And maybe LinkedIn was not used that much, maybe in Turkey, but I was already aware in US how efficient this is, and I was already getting calls. I had my first of all, one good maybe lessons learned for myself was I put a location as Istanbul, Turkey, where I was residing at that time. But at that moment, I got phone calls, right, from consulting company, from Accenture, and they were really interested about seeing the background because I had done a lot of projects in my other company, and they were really interested because what they were looking for is a single maybe project to be done. But on my resume, I had many. So it was interesting. But when they heard that I was not in US, I was filtered out. So that was the first mistake maybe. And then what I did was I changed actually the location to US when I was planning to come, as well as I put a Google maybe number, which is US, which was forwarding to my other number outside of that way. I was getting out of calls actually when going back home after the work. I was getting calls. I mean, first screening calls. But that was interesting. So this is I would say
Shaukat is giving some tips in addition to the interview we had with Ibrahim. You know, Shaukat is giving it supplementally more information, so which is really useful because you know, to get to interview, you need to be able to get somehow picked up, right? So you know, that's important that you know you need to be locally. You know, for immigrants who are coming in this country, they need to be prepared that you know they may be asked, hey, come to the office. You know, right now it's Zoom, of course, but I mean, you know. That's
and what Shaukat said, and also what Shaukat said, you have to have location in the US. You know, even if you're outside, you have to put location here. Otherwise, I think during the episode, I also asked Ibrahim about your past experience. Like some people, I had 2 years of non-US experience. You know, Shaukat also worked for some time outside of the US. You have to make sure that the interviewers here actually do take that into account, because you know that is your experience. That shouldn't go to trash. You know, it is experience. It does count. Yes, it's not in the U.S., but if the job nature is the same, you know, why shouldn't it count? And I think Ibrahim's suggestion was very good. I mean, I actually remembered that he said, well, yeah, they're not gonna like consider it too much. They're not gonna ask about it, but you bring that next time when they ask a behavioral question. When was the last time you did this and that? Make sure you mention that so that that experience is also counted and accounted for during your interview. So I think that was a pretty good trick. I never did that, to be honest.
Also, one important thing in when people start looking for a job, right? So they apply for different job postings, but they really get demoted really fast, saying like maybe by applying to 10 or 20 places, what they expect the company would be turning back. But myself has applied with hundreds of job postings, right? So that so for that reason, and I got maybe for some positions, there were like 5 different recruiters getting in touch with me for the single position. So you should not be demotivated. You should be keeping applying on a consistent way, and every day, like 5, 10, whatever. You should keep it until you get a job, right? That's really important, because I saw some other friends who have finished, maybe graduated, have some job experience, but easily getting demotivated by just applying and not getting response to maybe first 20 job postings, which is not right.
I mean, we all can attest to that fact, right? Because, you know, I mean, obviously I've been working in my current company for quite a while, actually, but before that, I also had to go through the, you know, interview processes and, and screening process. And now also you can test from your side. I mean, the experience of applying for so many jobs, especially during the, the financial crisis back in 2008, I used to apply to many jobs. It was very not easy at all, because the economy was in in ruins, right? So things were difficult. So you should not, like Shaukat was mentioning, you should definitely keep keep it up. Do not that's that's what also Ibrahim was saying. Like the success will come as part of statistically you will be successful as long as you keep going. So screening through interviews, going through interviews, getting it done, and also you may fail, or they may say, oh yes, thank you, we like it, everything is good, but they never call you back. You'd be like, what happened? I thought they liked me, but that's part of the business. They like you right there, but that does not mean you get accepted. So.
And one thing I want to point out, I know we're probably taking a lot of time right now, but one thing I do need to point out. So I personally had to go through a very difficult process. I actually kept an Excel sheet with all of my applications so that I can track the right position, see how it's going. And I remember that sheet was 270 positions long, 270, 280 positions. And one of the main reasons was that working visa. So if your status is not permanent resident or citizen, things get very complicated. It's very difficult to convince companies to actually sponsor you as an employee. So that's one thing that a lot of immigrants might think. If you don't have the green card, it's extremely difficult. So that was probably the reason why I had a lot of issues and close to 300 applications. I did get 3 offers, so I mean it wasn't too bad, but as you can see, the odds are not in your favor. I think but once you get your status, then it's a lot easier, it seems. And one thing that I wanted to note, what I noticed about Ibrahim, he had for the first job 25 interviews that were on site that went through the whole process. What really, even at the time, I remember what really struck me was that he didn't stop interviewing after getting his first offer. He actually continued all the way up to 25. I mean, not all of them were probably successful. He probably did get 25 offers. I don't know how many he got, but he did the right thing. It's something that I think immigrants may not realize. You continue, if you have time and ability, keep interviewing and try to get as many offers as you can.
And sometimes
just getting one offer and stopping is not,
And sometimes, just to the point you added, sometimes interview, same company may have like a marathon of interviews, right after one another. So they may pull you for specific technical skills, and then they may ask you to talk to HR about your, personal, person skills, right? I mean, it's important. Like different things are important for different, people who are interviewing you. So you would not be surprised if you go, for 3-hour, interview, having to deal with 4 different people in separate meetings. So it may be very common, this depending on what kind of position you're applying, of course. But that's something that we also need to be mindful. And Ibrahim also mentioned that as well from his experience. Some companies start from the college interviews and then they invite you to the office. Of course, pandemic is kind of different story now, but that's.
And also because of the number of applicants, right, that apply for a particular job posting, we should be aware that there is a lot of filtering, right, being done. So we should not expecting that like 1,000 maybe or 500 people applying. So employers do not have capacity to kind of review all of these. So mostly what will happen is some way of filtering, be it automatic, be it through some software, will happen.
Yeah.
So for that reason, the resume that we are using to apply for a particular job posting should be matching the job requirements, right?
Yeah.
What we do on our side is we prepare a resume, send it to whatever posting there is, which is not matching. So sometimes, depending on if you really want to get that job, what you really need to do is to do some minor adjustments. That is maybe some key, right, requirements for that particular job. So that's one important thing I would say.
Maybe a segue to this, just to add, maybe a segue, maybe separately we're gonna have I don't know, maybe we have to think separately. Maybe we can come up with a maybe episode how to prepare that to that stage. People who actually, a lot of people I know personally from my own personal experience going to school, right? You need to figure out how to properly apply for positions, right? Resume. So maybe
finding jobs. Yeah.
Maybe we can figure that out in terms of inviting somebody expert who knows those kinks, about getting that done. So that probably could be some separate episodes.
So hard skills,
definitely.
Hard skills, soft skills is another thing. Soft skill is now another trend that employers are really looking at. So your skill set about maybe being an expert in some area is really one important aspect. But the other thing is, will this person be a good team player is another thing. Can he integrate into the team, which employers is also valuing much. We should not be forgetting about. The other thing is about the people who are interviewing me, right? I also were looking who these people are, right? So do not expect that all of these people that interview you are subject matter experts, right? So you might be knowing more than these people. So in that sense, if you know who are your people, the people that interviewing you, you'll have more, you'll be empowered. So this is another tactic.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think Ibrahim also mentioned about personalities, and what you're saying is like find out about those people and make sure that there's a good match. I think that makes perfect sense.
I think the segue we had was I think that segment we had was about doing homework, right? Properly doing homework before you go into interview, right? What do you need to know about the company? What do you need to know about those people? Like if project manager interviewing you or BA is interviewing you, right? Or if it's just a regular tester is interviewing you. So those are things.
Knowing your strengths and weaknesses is another thing, right? That's what you really would be marketing, right? Your own strengths and not being afraid of your weaknesses, because in every interview, somebody will be asking you, okay, what kind of mistake you did and how did you overcome? It means that we are in a constant learning experience. They will expect you that you learn new things, but also not be afraid and have a way that you overcome those mistakes. That's another important point.
Yeah, I think if we go on, it'll be another episode just on interviews. All three of us have gone through this process, so we have a lot to share. But I think this is pretty good enough for an afterthought on an episode. We really hope that our viewers also enjoyed Ibrahim's points and now our points in addition to his points. So please do let us know what you would like to hear in the future, what kind of episodes, what topics you would like us to cover. Please do subscribe and leave comments. That's probably the easiest way to reach to us. Just leave a comment under our video or podcast. We'll get it, or email us if you don't mind at immigrantbazaar@gmail.com. So thank you very much, everyone. We hope our thoughts, afterthoughts, were also useful to you, as well as Ibrahim's thoughts. So,
and in case you missed the episode, just watch the episode in our channel. So some people may just watch this, not the episode. So please do so. But we appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys as well.
Thank you.
Okay,
So long, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.